Imagine a brass sounding record with stock plugins only. This track was made with Logic Phat FX stock plugins and instruments. No third-party plugins used at all. Don't you believe? Watch this video, download the project file and learn more for free. The drums are programmed with DMD instrument. I'm creating parts for every drum individually, because we can adjust pitch for each note. Let's look at the feel part. See that snare drum has different notes during the feel. Crash effects is reversed to add the tension before the drop. Now let's talk about the bass. I have made a bass part with ES2, it's for low bass, and then just added a layer for higher bass. In Logic Phat FX it's very useful to use folders for instruments that play the same notes, but you may play each instrument separately like this. And now only a higher bass part is played. Now are both instruments played. You may use it for different part of songs, but when you use take on the folder, all the instruments inside folder will play. Now let's have a look at the main melody. I have used a retro synth for the main sound, and it sounds not so good without effects. When you add reverb and delay, I have used tape delay for this situation. It adds more depth and wideness for the sound. I am also using additional layer to add transient to the main melody. Preset called Asian Dreams. It's very nice sounding alone, and it also a good addition to my main sound. For the bridge part I'm using another preset from Alchemy, and it's really cool sound, it sounds great. Now let's talk about pads and keys. I am using simple grand piano with some effects, adding chroma verb to make it sound longer, and after Phat FX to add some sidechaining effect to the sound. Next a compressor and EQ, but let's talk about that effects later in mixing and mastering part of the video. And here is additional sound great from stock. It's Alchemy plugin with a preset. Next one is a sidechain pad. Sidechain is made also with Phat FX. It's really great effect plugin for different tasks. In the end of the song, I am adding a core pad to add more power to sound. And now you may hear all the pads and keys together. The next part is strings. I'm using strings plugin for this song, adding some reverb delay and pitch shifter. Now you hear the difference. Pitch shifter is really great in Logic, and after adding delay and reverb it sounds very good. Here is another track with different articulation. You can change it inside the strings plugin. It's sustain, staccato, spiccato, pizzicato, and others. In this part of song, there's a different articulation used. You hear here is pizzicato and here is spiccato. And when you record MIDI, you can apply different articulation to this instrument. I don't really know how to change it after recording. And now the great part is Voice FX and its simple alchemy preset, just a bit corrected with XY crossfade. So that's all about arrangement. And watch the next part, it's a mixing and mastering of the same song. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, put thumbs up, and you may download this project by the link inside description. Now let's talk about mixing and mastering of this song. Here we go. Kick drum. I'm using just EQ and compressor. Compressor here is used vintage VCA and with a little bit of soft distortion and adding a little bit of reverb. I'm also using a kick layer channel. It's a sampler with additional kick drum sound. I'm also adding additional chroma verb to add a bit of depth to the sound of my layered kick drum. Here it is. You see when I add reverb what is going up with the kick drum. Let's leave it subtle. I'm using 2 snare drums and 1 clap as layers, but sometimes snare drums sound separately. I'm adding overdrive effect for snare drum to make it stand out in a mix. Hi-hat only with high-pass filter, in equalizer, and a little bit of reverb. Right is without any EQ, without any compression, but with more reverb on it. Now you may listen a whole drum kit. Drum bass, it's something like parallel compression because mix is not on 100% in this compressor. Full-tech adds a bit of low and bit of high and bit of mid-high frequencies. Bass channels don't have anything on it, only the higher part of bass has a high-pass filter. Bass pass has EQ with adding some bass and Phat FX with bass enhancer on. Pads and keyboard parts, I'm adding a bit of compression, but I'm not compressing hardly. There's a good thing is I can add saturation with a Logic Pro X compressor. It's called distortion here, but I think it's better to call saturation. Same thing with piano. Add saturation. And now we have a balanced mix. Let's make it loud with some mastering. I'm going to make a mid-side matrix. It's described in document with the project with a schematic. have a check. On the mix bus we have a bus compressor. Now side part of the mix we have Phat FX, we have liner, phase EQ and compressor. Phat FX is used as a good saturation model, liner EQ just to cut lows and to create a final tone. Here is a compressor without any saturation now, but it's around 50% mix. Now mid part, all the same thing, but we have added De-Esser. It's very subtle, but it's take off the highs when needed. Compressor here is also a mix position in 50%. And the final step is turn on the limiter on the master. Here we go, our master is ready. Thank you, subscribe for my channel, put thumbs up, and don't forget to download the project file. Link is inside description for this video.